Arian took one step forward, and the music seemed to dip. Phones rose like a wave. Someone whispered loud enough for the mic to catch it. "Oh my God, the husband's here." Laughter rippled across the hall, sharp and expensive. Rohan spotted him next, flashed that influencer smile that had 20 million followers, and spoke into the sudden silence. He announced, "Everyone, give it up for the man who taught Kiera what she doesn't want." The room exploded. Arian stood there holding the scrapbook against his chest like a shield nobody respected. Kiera finally turned. For 1 second her eyes met his, and something flickered there, maybe guilt, maybe pity, but it was gone before it could grow. She gave a tiny apologetic smile, the same smile she used when she canceled their anniversary dinner for a girls' trip, and turned back to Rohan. Rohan pulled her in, dipped her theatrically, and kissed her. Not soft, not private. A full performance kiss while the crowd hooped and recorded and toasted to new beginnings. Arian didn't move. He felt the tears slide down his cheek, hot and slow, but he didn't wipe it away. Let them see. Let them all see what their cheering was costing. Dakiera's mother, dressed in enough gold to sink a ship, took the mic next. "Always knew my daughter deserved the best. Thank you, Rohan, for finally showing her what that looks like." Another round of applause. Someone shouted, "Glow up of the century." Rohan looked straight at Arian and shrugged theatrically. "Nothing personal, bro. Some men build empires, others build PowerPoint presentations. We cool." Kiera walked over, a little unsteady from the champagne, and touched Arian's arm like he was a stray dog she felt bad for. "Arian, I'm filing the papers next week. Let's not make this ugly, okay? You can keep the laptop and your dreams." The laughter that followed was the loudest, yet he looked at her, really looked at her, the girl who once cried in his arms because her father called her average, the girl he had promised the stars to when he had nothing but hope. And in that moment, he felt something inside him quietly click shut, like a door that would never open again. He placed the scrapbook on the nearest table, right next to a tower of macarons, and said the only sentence he would say all night. His voice was soft, almost lost under the music, but a few people close by heard it. "Enjoy the night. It's the most expensive party any of you will ever attend." Then he walked out. No slumming doors, no shouching, no begging. Just the sound of his old leather sandals against marble, while 200 people posted the video with captions like "most satisfying breakup ever." He drove home in the 10-year-old Honda that still had the faint smell of her jasmine perfume. When he reached their apartment, no, her apartment now, he sat in the dark living room and opened the scrapbook to the last page. There, tucked inside a clear sleeve, were shared transfer papers, 40% of a company called Apex Solutions, signed and ready, made out to Mrs. Kiera Arian Malhotra. The valuation line read, $1.9 billion. He had planned to give it to her at midnight, on the terrace, under fairy lights. Like the hopeless romantic he used to be, he stared at the papers for a long time. Then he closed the book, placed it on the center table, and whispered to the empty room, "Happy birthday, Kiera." 15 kilometers away, Rohan was popping another bottle, telling everyone the $750 million defense contract was basically in the bag. His company was the official bidding partner, the middleman who would pocket 12 perfect commission while the actual tech came from some silent back-end firm nobody had ever heard of. "Easy money," he bragged, kissing Kiera again for the camera. At 9:17 a.m. the next morning, his assistant called, voice shaking. "Sir, the ministry just moved the signing ceremony up. They want the real owner of Apex Solutions present in 45 minutes. Not us, the actual owner." Rohan laughed, spraying toothpaste foam. "That's us, you idiot, with a face of the deal." "No, sir," the assistant whispered. "The beneficial owner, the one who's been signing every document for 8 years from a Gmail address. His name is Arian Malhotra." The phone slipped from Rohan's hand and shattered against Italian marble. And somewhere across the city, Arian stood in front of his mirror, buttoning a charcoal black suit he had never worn before, the one he bought the day his company first crossed $100 million in profit. He looked at the man staring back. No corda, no hesitation, no tears, and said quietly, "Time to go to work." The room where they had laughed at him was about to become the stage where the truth finally spoke louder than their champagne ever could. The conference hall smelled of fresh coffee and old power. 45 minutes after Rohan's phone hit the marble, the double doors opened and Arian walked in alone. Not a single bodyguard, not a single assistant, just the same calm eyes that had watched his wife kiss another man the night before. Except now those eyes carried the weight of 8 silent years. Every chair was filled. 3-star generals in crisp uniforms, joint secretaries with red briefcases, journalists already live streaming. And right in the front row, Rohan and Kiera looking like they had aged 10 years overnight. Rohan's tie was crooked. Kiera's red lipstick was gone, replaced by bitten lips and smudged mascara. Arian didn't glance at them. He walked straight to the long teak table, placed a single black folder down, and spoke into the microphone without waiting for permission. Good morning. My name is Arian Malhotra. I am the founder, CEO, and 100% owner of Apex Solutions. For the last 8 years, I've signed every line of code, every patent, every security clearance under NDAs so tight most of you didn't even know my name. That ends today. A ripple went through the room. Cameras flashed like lightning. He opened the folder. Inside was one sheet of paper, the original contract draft that had Rohan's company listed as prime contractor. Arian placed a new sheet on top. Same contract, same $750 million figure, but now the prime contractor line read Apex Solutions Private Limited. Sole signatory, Arian Malhotra. Effective this morning, he continued, voice steady as steel, all intermediary agreements are terminated. Apex will execute directly with the government of India. No commissions, no middlemen, no more stolen credit. Rohan shot to his feet. This is insane. We brought this deal. We wined and dined. Arian finally looked at him. One look. Rohan sat back down like someone had cut his strings. Then Arian turned the page. A photograph appeared on the giant screen behind him. The scrapbook from last night, open to the last page. 40% share transfer document, already notarized, made out to Kiera. The date on the notary stamp. 3 days ago. I was going to give this to my wife at midnight, Arian said, and for the first time his voice cracked just once. 40% of a company Forbes will value at $4 billion by next quarter. I stayed quiet all these years because she once told me, don't become one of those men who only talk about money. So I became the man who made it without talking. Kiera made a sound, half sob, half scream. She stood up, chair scraping loud in the silence. Arian, please. He raised one hand, gentle but final. She froze. I skipped meals so your credit card bills could be paid on time. I slept on the floor of a 200-square-foot office so you could have European holidays with your friends. Every time you said, when will you become somebody? I was already becoming it, just without announcing it on Instagram. A general in the front row removed his cap and placed it over his heart. Others followed. The respect in the room shifted like gravity, changing direction. Arian closed the folder. The contract will be signed in 10 minutes. After that, Apex will donate 20% of the profit, $150 million, to a new foundation for children from broken homes. Because no child should grow up believing love means being laughed at in public. He stepped away from the microphone. The applause started slowly, then thundered until the chandeliers shook in the corridor outside. Kiera caught him before he reached the elevator. She looked small without the red gown and the spotlight. Arian, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. We can fix this. I'll leave him right now. He stopped. Looked at her the way you look at a chapter you've finally finished reading. You didn't know I was rich, he said softly. But you knew I came home every night. You knew I still made your chai the way you like it, even when you stopped saying thank you. You knew I never raised my voice, even when you raised yours. The money was never the problem, Kiera. The problem was you stopped seeing me long before you stopped loving me. Tears poured down her face, ruining whatever was left of her makeup. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know, he said. But sorry doesn't rebuild 8 years of someone making himself invisible so you could shine. I'm done being invisible. He pressed the elevator button. Doors opened immediately, like even the building knew whose side it was on now. She grabbed his sleeve. Do you still love me? The doors started to close. He didn't pull away, didn't help her either. At the last second, he answered, so quietly only she could hear. I love the girl who cried when her father called her average. That girl left a long time ago. I hope she comes back to someone who deserves her. The door shut. Kiera sank to the floor in the empty corridor, sobbing into her palms while camera flashes from the hall leaked under the door like accusing spotlights. 6 months later, a small cafe in Pune, late evening, rain tapping the window panes. Arian sat at his usual corner table, wearing a simple blue kurta, reading a paperback. A little girl at the next table dropped her ice cream cone and started crying. Without looking up from his book, he reached into his pocket, walked over, and bought her a new one from the counter, chocolate with rainbow sprinkles, extra large. The mother tried to pay. He smiled and shook his head. Some kindnesses aren't for sale. When he returned to his table, the little girl ran after him and hugged his leg. Thank you, uncle. He knelt, wiped chocolate from her chin, and said, always remember, Beta, real princes don't wear crowns. They just show up when someone needs them. He watched her skip back to her mother, then looked out at the rain, peaceful, light, finally weightless. Somewhere across the city, newspapers carried his face on the cover. The silent billionaire who never needed to prove anything. But here in this tiny cafe, he was just Arian again. The man who had lost everything the world values and found the only thing that actually matters, himself. And for the first time in 8 years, when he smiled, it was real, because no one was watching that, and no one was recording, and no one was laughing. Just the soft sound of rain,